Everyone, hope everything is going well. Now, I like this channel, and his name is Rebel Capitalist, or his YouTube handle is Rebel Capitalist, Mr. Gammon, George Gammon. And he had an interesting video. The real reason the yield curve is inverted. And basically, he was talking about how the yield curve is inverted and we haven't had a recession yet. And you have to, first of all, look, there's many durations you could look at the yield curve. You could look at the twos versus the tens. You could look at the Fed funds versus the 2 year, the Fed funds versus the 5 year, funds versus the 10 year. You could look at many different types of yield curves and say, hey, is those two yields, are they inverted? And he was basically saying, hey, the yield curve has basically predicted every major recession. It's hard for banks to make money when they're borrowing it at a rate that is greater than what they lend at. That totally makes sense. And it doesn't make sense if longer term rates are lower than shorter term rates because you're predicting basically deflation and you're usually predicting growth in a normal situation, but we don't have a normal situation right now. And my response to George Gammon is he needs to look at different durations. Fed funds rate as of 8/3. This video was done about a week ago. Now I've had time to look into it, to do a video. 5.33. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. What's the 6-year Treasury bill trading at? 5.48%. Okay, let's look at the 1-year Treasury yield right now. 1-year Treasury yield is 5.37. That is still an upward sloping yield curve. Now it's flat, 5.33 versus 5.379. So if you're looking at it from a year from now, they're expecting little growth. Now let's look at it 2 years from now. 2-year Treasury yield. 4.81%. That's a huge problem. So I agree with George Gammon that the yield curve is a good indicator. Now you have to look at all these durations. The fact is the Fed funds rate, the short-term rate is greater than the 2-year. Warning sign, everyone. And that's why I've said, even on my sports card channel, 2024, you got to watch out. And I said this before looking at these yields in a very close manner. I eyeball yields a lot. And the fact is, you're seeing this, a lot of problems coming ahead. And I think it's going to be what we've seen with Silicon Valley Bank, but significantly worse. The next year, year and a half, by the time 2 years come up, everything will probably have blown up. A lot of banks will have gone under, or there's going to have to be some sort of restructuring of their debt, in my opinion. So in response to George Gammon, you have to look at different durations. And it is still a very good indicator of a recession. 2-year yield versus the current yields is a big trouble ahead. And if you I saw this about recessions, Bank of America. This is also a warning sign. So it says, why Bank of America sees a soft landing, no recession. Bank of America no longer calls for a mild recession. Okay, that's a warning sign. I think Chase did the same thing. When I see the big banks turning their message around, warning sign, warning sign. JP Morgan backs off recession call even with very elevated, what does it say? Elevated risk. Yeah, okay. We may not have a recession for about a year. What happens after that? Huge problems ahead, guys, in my opinion. Anyways, let me know what you think. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Thanks. Bye.